They've gone too far. Outrage after Jaime and Dakota's intimate encounter goes public. Los Angeles, the story the world thought ended with 50 Shades of Grey is back, and louder than ever. Nearly a decade after their on-screen chemistry became a global obsession, Jaime Dornan and Dakota Johnson are once again at the center of controversy. But this time, it's not fiction. It's reality, and the fine line between love, loyalty, and the price of fame. The rumor that started it all. It started innocently enough. A series of backstage photos from a recent awards show where Jaime and Dakota were seen laughing together. Their closeness, their unmistakable chemistry, was enough to send the tabloids into a frenzy overnight. Too close to comfort, wrote the Daily Mail. Will the fire rekindle? Speculated People magazine. And E! News went further. Jaime Dornan and Dakota Johnson, the love story Hollywood can't stop talking about. But as the rumors spread, so did the criticism. A scandal is brewing. Social media is going viral. Within hours, the hashtag Jaime and Dakota was trending worldwide. Fans were divided into two camps, those cheering for their reunion, and those accusing them of disrespecting their real partners. Jaime, who is still married to Amelia Warner, faced harsh comments questioning his integrity. Dakota, who is in a long-term relationship with Coldplay's Chris Martin, was suddenly labeled a third woman. They're both grown men, but they know their influence in the media, one critic posted. They're playing with fire again, wrote another. Headline, copy. Is Jaime cheating on Amelia again? Is Chris angry about Dakota's behavior? Hollywood's most dangerous chemistry is back. It's no longer a rumor, it's a global media storm. The price of chemistry. For years, fans have debated whether the passion they saw between Jaime and Dakota on screen was real. 50 Shades blurred the line between acting and emotion. Even after the trilogy ended, the bond between them was unmistakable, in press tours, interviews and rare reunions. They have a connection that no one can fake, says a former 50 Shades co-star. They understand each other's silences. It's not acting, it's intimacy. But intimacy comes at a price. Jaime has always maintained that he is a devoted husband and father. He once told Esquire, "Acting is acting. I go home to my wife, to my family. It's real." But no amount of denial can silence fans who insist they see something in every affectionate glance and accidental touch. Dakota's backlash. When Dakota appeared in a recent interview to promote her upcoming indie film, a journalist asked bluntly, "Do you think your relationship with Jaime Dornan has crossed a line?" Dakota paused, smiled weakly, and then replied, "We shared something very strong. But people should stop assuming they know what that means." That single sentence caused chaos. Twitter users accused her of playing with ambiguity to get attention. The tabloid twisted her words. Dakota confirms feelings for Jaime. A dangerous love, she can't let him go. The reaction was brutal. Chris Martin's fans flooded her Instagram with heartbroken emojis and accusations of betrayal. Even her team had to turn off comments on some posts to defuse the situation. Jaime spoke out. A few days later, Jaime Dornan appeared on The Graham Norton Show. When asked, half-jokingly, about the Dakota situation, he laughed awkwardly, then said, "Dakota is a great friend. We've been through some great things together, and we always will be. But that doesn't mean there's a scandal behind every smile." He tried to appear calm, but his eyes told a different story. Behind the scenes, sources close to Jaime revealed that he was extremely disappointed by the new attention. He wants to protect Amelia and the kids, but he also doesn't want to give up the friendship that has shaped his career. Jaime is torn, an insider said. He knows family comes first, but Dakota will always be a part of his story, a story he can never erase. Harsh online judgments. The backlash is growing. Thousands of comments poured in. They're so selfish, they're using their chemistry for attention. Jaime owes Amelia an apology. Dakota can't stand not being the center of attention. But there were also those who came to their defense. They gave us a story that changed pop culture. Let them be friends. People are straight-jacketing their own fantasies, it's not their fault. The fight erupted on TikTok, Reddit, and fan sites. Clips from 50 Shades of Grey resurfaced, edited next to their recent appearances. Even fan-made videos, labeled Forbidden Reunion, have garnered millions of views. It's no longer just a rumor. It's become a modern-day Hollywood witch hunt. Closed. According to The Hollywood Reporter, both Jaime and Dakota have privately agreed to keep their distance for now. No joint interviews, no shared red carpets, no post-premiere after-party. But that hasn't stopped them from texting. A source close to Dakota says, "They're still talking, gently, showing support. They know they're on edge, but they can't cut off contact." In one leaked text message, allegedly from someone on set, Jaime writes, "We've been through it all. Don't let the noise ruin what's real." If true, the message would confirm what millions have suspected. Their relationship is deeper than they let on. The quiet strength of Amelia Warner. While the world speculated, Amelia Warner remained silent. She was photographed walking with her daughters, calm and composed, a picture of dignity. "She's used to it," a close friend said. "She knows rumors come and go. But this time, it's worse. Because people are more ruthless in wanting a fairy tale that doesn't belong to them." Amelia's silence said it all. She didn't deny or attack, she simply endured. And in the cruel irony of fame, that silence only made her fans love her more. Chris Martin's subtle message. Chris Martin, on the other hand, deftly addressed the controversy during a concert in London. Between songs, he smiled and told the audience, "Sometimes love stories aren't meant for the stage. But we still have to sing, right?" The audience cheered, but insiders knew it wasn't just a random lyric. Fans noticed that Dakota wasn't there that night, despite having attended a number of his shows before. A Page Six source whispered, "They're giving each other space. Chris loves Dakota, but he's tired of her being associated with Jaime. The media makes it explode." When things seemed to calm down, Vanity Fair released an exclusive article headlined, "Jaime Dakota, Hollywood's unbreakable combination." The article didn't portray them as villains, but as victims of their own success. Two actors trapped in a fantasy they'd sold to the world. "They tried their best," the journalist wrote. "The problem is, people never stopped believing." The article went viral, changing the public mood. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer about scandal, but about empathy. Dakota's emotional interview. A few weeks later, Dakota Johnson broke her silence in an interview with Elle magazine. She choked up and said, "Jaime is one of the most important people in my life. We've been through something that no one else can understand. But that doesn't mean what people think. I care about him, and that's all I am going to say." The interviewer noticed tears welling up in her eyes. For many fans, it was the closure they needed, or perhaps the spark for another round of speculation. The next morning, TMZ reported, "Dakota crying over Jaime. What's really going on? Hollywood's double standards." Critics say the public's obsession with Jaime and Dakota reveals a deeper truth. Hollywood has always valued emotional authenticity. If they were single, people would call it romantic, notes journalist Marla Brooks. But because they're attached to other people, it becomes scandalous. We forget they're people, not characters in our imaginations. Jaime himself shared this at a charity event in Dublin. "I think people like to believe in impossible stories. Maybe that's the price of chemistry. Everyone wants it to be true." He smiles, but there's a quiet sadness in his tone. A lesson in fame and emotion. In the end, neither Jaime Dornan nor Dakota Johnson made an official statement. They simply retreated from the spotlight. Their appearances became less frequent. Their words became less frequent. But the storm they left behind continued to reverberate. Every photo, every interview, every look between them became a new headline. It was a vicious cycle they couldn't escape, not because they wanted to, but because the world wouldn't let them move on. "We built them a cage of desire," one fan wrote on Reddit. "And now we blame them for being trapped inside." Months later, paparazzi spotted Jaime and Dakota at a charity gala in New York. They weren't there together, but fate, or rather, irony, had them sitting at the same table. When Jaime stood up to speak about mental health awareness, Dakota looked up, and smiled slightly. For a brief moment, the world seemed to stop. Not a word was exchanged, but all the cameras caught the same silent message. That some relationships, no matter how criticized or forbidden, never truly fade. The last word. Jaime Dornan and Dakota Johnson may not be lovers in the eyes of the world, but they were still bound together by something more complicated, more enduring, a shared story that fame has turned into legend. They faced hate, love, misunderstanding, and obsession, but they stood tall, gracefully under fire. And when the tabloids moved on to the next scandal, their story remained, like an unfinished love song that refused to end. Because in Hollywood, some relationships don't need to be defined, they just need to be remembered.